Good evening, everyone. Today, I'm going to be explaining retrying or retriggering mechanism using data stores. So basically, we have heard retrigger or retry with the help of JMS. So instead of using JMS, we are going to understand the retrying mechanism using sorry, using our data stores. So firstly, what we are going to do is we are going to divide this process into four different flows. Our first flow would be the flow from where, as you can see, my first flow is the dispenser flow. So basically, this flow, what this flow will do is we'll create a value mapping, and from that value mapping, we are going to fetch the data or the mapping that we have done. So the value from the value mapping is going to be fetched from here using process direct adapter. We are going to store that value. And the second flow is our main business flow. So this main business flow will also have the start point as the process direct. So the process direct that we had used for our first flow is going to transfer the value through process direct to the second flow. Then there will be our main business logic, which will basically be mapping of the data that we are basically getting or our payload is being mapped. Then we basically, I have mentioned this very particular area of mentioning a router. My reason for mentioning a router over here is that if the flow normally works, so in our case, if it works, it flows fast and the flow is ending. But for us to re-trigger something, we need to have an error. So in case of error, this router will come into place where the error message will first go into this exception subprocess where the error message will first be identified, and then we are going to write it on a, we are going to create a data store, and we are going to write this error value in that data store. Once the error value data store is created, we are going to create a retrigger flow where we are going to first fetch the error message or the value that we are getting an error about, and then we are going to basically give it the endpoint and telling the system as to where this error message needs to go. Then once we are sorted, we have identified that error, we are going to go to now resolving it. So by resolving, what we are going to do is we are going to create the final flow, that is our rewriting flow. Here we are going to basically give the correct payload that needs to be rewritten, and we are going to use the right data flow, excuse me, the right data flow to basically now write this correct value or the correct payload onto the data store. Then after this flow is completed, we skip back, we run to our second flow where this delete data store comes into play. So this delete data store, what it's going to do is once our working is successful, basically we have rewritten, we have re-triggered the process. We are going to delete that data store because the work of that data store is now done. So we are going to use delete and we are going to delete that data store, and then that our flow will end. I am hope I have made myself clear.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I have couple of questions. So probably Sahil or Kirti, any one of you can answer me. I believe the entire design, whatever you are showing, that is a kind of a collaborative effort from both of you. So couple of questions. So the very first one, when you are saying this dispenser flow, is it a generic flow? Means let's say if there are n partners, n number of partners, so all the partners, they will be having different payloads. They will be hitting the same endpoint every time. And if yes, then how will you identify this
I'm so
particular
sorry.
for?
I just missed a very particular point, and your question basically reminded me of the point that I missed. Is basically we are going to the endpoint that we are getting from the process direct is basically a header that we are creating. So that header will be a value that will be unique to all the flows. Like he said, if we have n different flows or n different points of getting data, so we'll have a different header for every one of those so that it's distinguishable for all the flows.
Okay, and where are you maintaining those endpoints? How the system will come to know that this endpoint belongs to this particular partner?
So that specific.
Kyle, any idea?
Sir, in the postman, when we are passing the header that sender and order, something like that.
From Postman, you have to send the header information. So you have to add one
Yes,
parameter.
yes, parameter. We have to add one parameter with respect to sender.
Basically, we add a header in Postman that is going to be the distinguishing point for each and
So
every header.